Today, we're diving into a very important topic in construction contract management. Extension of time claims. Well, first things first. If you feel like discussing more even after watching this entire video, feel free to talk to our techno-legal experts. We're just a call away. Delays in construction projects are not uncommon, and understanding when and how to file for an extension of time is crucial for both contractors and employers. Let's start by breaking down the key factors of extension of time claims in construction projects. One of the most crucial factors is adherence to contract documents. We all know that contracts are the foundation of every construction project and are hence drafted with utmost attention to every detail and aspect, including delays. Here's a simple rule to understand whether your claim is eligible for extension or not. Contract documents often specify potential delay events that the contractor must consider. If these events are clearly defined, the contractor cannot later argue that these events caused delays, unless they were more severe than initially described in the contract documents. Coming to the second factor, that is critical path analysis. The critical path consists of tasks in the construction schedule that forms the shortest path from project start to completion. The ability to make a claim for a delay event often depends on whether it affects the project's critical path. And if any delay occurs owing to critical path tasks, it directly impacts the project's overall timeline. Let's illustrate this with a simple example: the construction of a house. Consider the construction of a house, which involves various tasks like laying the foundation, building walls, installing the roof, and finishing touches, etc. There might also be a perimeter wall planned to be constructed around the property and is within the scope of house construction project. In this scenario, and the contractor has decided to commence with this wall construction at the project's outset to enhance security. Later, it comes out that the roof installation has been delayed due to some reason, and this delay has further hindered the overall completion of the house. However, in this entire scenario, it's crucial to note that the house's construction could have been proceeded independently while the perimeter wall was being built. I've got some numbers to explain it more clearly. Suppose the house's construction schedule spans 40 weeks, and constructing the perimeter wall is estimated to take 2 weeks. In theory, the wall could commence as late as week 38 without causing a delay to the entire project. So, even if the original construction schedule indicated that the wall should start in week 1, and the necessary information for the wall's construction arrived in week 15, with an additional 2 weeks required for material procurement, it's evident that the perimeter wall could still be completed well before the project's overall conclusion. While this sequencing might cause inconvenience for the contractor, potentially necessitating temporary security measures like fencing and impacting resource allocation, it does not justify a claim for an extension of time since the wall is not critical to the project's timeline. Nevertheless, the contractor might have valid grounds to submit a variation claim for reasons previously outlined. Now you see, an item that was not on the critical path can be delayed to such an extent that it now becomes critical. Let me tell you how. Consider the prior situation, in the aforementioned case, when the essential information needed for constructing the perimeter wall was received at the conclusion of week 38, and the procurement of materials consumed a span of 2 weeks, it becomes evident that the completion of the perimeter wall within the original project timeline, ending at week 40, is no longer feasible. Accounting for the 2-week duration required for material procurement and an additional 2 weeks for wall construction, the project is now expected to conclude 2 weeks later than initially planned. Consequently, the contractor is entitled to a 2-week extension of time. This entire scenario leads us to the next factor, that is, impact on critical path tasks. It clearly states that an extension of time claim can be filed only when the delay is affecting tasks on critical path. For example, the contractor may not need to know the paint colors until just a day or two before the painting work is scheduled to commence, a point that might arise after week 30. In some cases, the contractor could make a request for the paint colors as early as week 2, only to receive them by week 29, yet this delay does not affect the progress of the work. However, if the construction site is located in a remote countryside area, far from a paint supplier, the contractor might necessitate knowing the paint colors a week in advance of the painting start date, rather than just a day before, as might be the case in an urban setting, to accommodate the transportation of paint from the city to the project site. Therefore, for certain activities like this, which can proceed independently without delaying critical path tasks, the contractor may not be entitled an extension of claim. This applies even for the weather-related delay claims. Like for instance, when constructing a new rail tunnel, the tunnel boring machine is typically unaffected by heavy rain unless it leads to a flooding of the tunnel itself. In such a scenario, tunnel boring becomes an integral part of the critical path. While heavy rain could potentially disrupt activities outside the tunnel, if the rain-induced delay is not significant enough to elevate these activities to a critical path status, the contractor is unlikely to have grounds for filing a weather-related delay claim. Next up is unforeseen events. Delay events must be unexpected and outside the contractor's control, something that could not have been foreseen or planned for at the project's outset. For example, let's consider a scenario where the region typically receives 50 millimeters of rain over 4 days in May. However, during the construction of the project, there was an unusual occurrence of 100 millimeters of rain over 8 days in May. If these rain-induced delays impacted activities on the critical path, the contractor should have a valid basis for submitting a claim for 4 of those days, which represent the excess rain days beyond the usual May conditions. Let's move on to the other factors quickly. Some contract documents may explicitly exclude certain events from being claimable, such as extreme weather conditions or natural disasters. The employer must be made aware of the contractor's requirements for information and materials well in advance of their scheduled need. Failure to provide such information or materials on time may authorization of a claim. Delays caused by work stoppages or strikes by the contractor's workers or subcontractors may only be claimable if they were part of a national work stoppage that the contractor could not have mitigated or avoided. Delays due to material or equipment shortages may be claimable if they result from national or significant regional events beyond the contractor's control. No other delays must have already impacted the task in question. Claims cannot be made for the same delay twice. The delay must result from something the contractor could not have reasonably foreseen at the project's outset, taking into account site conditions and local factors. For example, if it is evident that rock exists on the project site or in neighboring areas, the detection of rock during construction cannot serve as a valid basis for requesting an extension of time. It's important to note that the extent of research expected from the contractor during the tender stage is not always clear-cut. Certainly, contractors cannot be reasonably expected to conduct an extensive geological survey of the project site as part of their initial bid. Therefore, if rock is encountered during construction, significantly affecting the contractor's progress, and this rock was not visibly present on the project site during the pricing phase, nor highlighted in the employer's pricing documentation, it provides a legitimate reason for the contractor to initiate a claim for an extension of time as well as additional compensation for the unexpected costs incurred in excavating the rock. Generally, consequential delays, where the initial delay causes further delays or damages, are not claimable. And that's it. Now you have the basic understanding to determine whether filing an extension of time claim will work in your favor or end up impacting your credibility, if it turns out to be baseless. Be cautious, be smart. And if you still feel stuck anywhere, our techno-legal experts are always by your side. We specialize in contract management, claims preparation and management, dispute resolution, forensic delay analysis, preparation of extension of time, project management, insurance management.